construction of the pit, it is said that the Halawata Korea generation is descended from Ediril Ralaeus Domingo Korea, who was a skilled fighter in Ceylon during the Kotte and Sitawaka kingdoms. They called Halawata as Sinhapura. It was built by Agnes Korea, the sister of the famous Korea brothers. Sigiriya, the magnificent mansion she built with her husband, lawyer Jimmy Korea, in the middle of Halawata town in 1910. It is said that there was no such big and beautiful mansion around Halawata at that time. The villagers have started calling the house they named Sigiriya as Sigiriya Walyuva. Its fame had spread beyond Halawat. At present this mansion is about 120 years old. A cloud wall has been arranged around the mandir built by combining Sinhala and English architecture. Now this embankment is also dilapidated. There are 2 gates to enter the mansion. Large gate posts carved out of cement have been used for them. The gates are built by finishing and working on the pillars of one gate, and small dargab can be seen on top of the pillars of the other gate. The name Sigiriya is mentioned in English on the gate flaps. After entering the gate and entering the garden, one had to enter the portico through a beautiful gate with lame stones. After that, you can enter the pillared hall and walk through the marble floor to the upper floor. The wooden handrails are decorated with simple Sinhala carvings. Sinhala decorative designs are also seen in the concrete handrails around the portico that runs around the upper floor, and beautiful punklers have also been finished. The piazza here is also built as high as the upland glacis. It can be seen that a stupa built on one side of the roof, so that it can be seen in the distance, symbolizes the high regard of Buddhism.
Treasure hunters vandalize vintage Sigiriya bungalow. Christy Fernando, Chilaw Special CORR. Treasure hunters, who gained entrance to the vintage Sigiriya Walawa of the Korea family in Chilaw, had vandalized and dug for hidden wealth, and pilfered items from this age-old mansion, believed to be about 175 years old. Charles Korea, a close relative of the Korea family, has lodged a complaint at Chilaw Police Station. The mansion, situated in the heart of Chilaw town, is close to the Chilaw Urban Council. This was the venue which Mahatma Gandhi visited when he came to Sri Lanka in 1927 to attend a banquet hosted by the well-known Koreas of yesteryear. Sigiriya Walawa belonged to the erstwhile Victor Korea's sister and husband. Mahatma Gandhi and his wife Kasturba had visited the Korea family in Chilaw in 1927. Erstwhile District Judge A.E.R. Korea was residing in this Walawa at that time. It is a well-known fact that former Speaker Shirley Korea belonged to the same family of Koreas. Mahatma Gandhi, during his visit, presented a color poster under the headline "Fighters for Swaraj" that featured all national heroes of India, each in oval-shaped and bust-sized photographs, to Victor Korea. His photograph, too, was included in the poster. This was a glowing tribute to the campaign for freedom that stalwart Victor Korea initiated and recorded in the annals of history, that was somewhat similar to the campaign Mahatma Gandhi conducted in India.
Mahatma Gandhi, the father of India, visited Halawata on the invitation of C. Korea and stayed in a Korea home. Sigiriya. The entire Gandhi entourage arrived in Chile. Mahatma Gandhi presented C. Korea with one of his famous spinning wheels before he left the town. Gandhi's visit to Chile caused a great deal of excitement in the area. Gandhi was welcomed by the entire country when he visited Ceylon in 1927. The Hindu newspaper observed, "It was at the end of what for him had been a rather somnolent year that Gandhi made his first and last trip to an island then known as Ceylon." Gandhi arrived in Colombo on November 12, 1927, accompanied by his wife Kasturba, his friend, follower and critic C. Rajagopaleshwari, and the latter's daughter Lakshmi. Also in the party were his secretaries, Mahadev Desai and Pyrilal. In his 3 weeks in Ceylon, Gandhi covered the island from top to toe. He delivered dozens of speeches to organizations connected with Buddhists, Chettiars, Christians, and depressed classes. From the Daily News in Sri Lanka. Gandhi, a guest at Sigiriya. It is indeed a pleasure to recapture and recount the lives and times of the older generation. Theirs was an era of spacious and gracious living. When one views with dismay the destruction of old houses, the walls and colonial-type buildings, one can't help but gape with surprised delight at the few grand old houses still remaining. One such edifice is the stately mansion Sigiriya, set like a jewel in the heart of the coastal town of Chilaw. Sigiriya was built by Jimmy and Agnes Coria in the early 20th century. Jimmy Coria was a proctor of the Supreme Court, and his wife Agnes was the sister of the redoubtable freedom fighters, C. Coria and Victor Coria. This was the time the Coria clan reigned supreme in Chilaw, so much so that Chilaw came to be famous for its 3 Corias, crabs and coconuts. When my mother Ina related those olden days stories, she recalled Sigiriya as a place of much activity. If I attempt to describe Sigiriya, I could not do justice to its impressive architecture. One drives in through an imposing gateway into the portico and steps out to a pillared foyer. The entire ground floor is of marble, and the sweeping marble stairway has Sinhala floral motifs engraved in its wooden banisters. Balconies with balustrades run round the entire upper story, and one section of the roof is topped by a dome. They say that every house has its time, and surely Sigiriya had its day when Mahatma Gandhi stepped into its hallowed portals. In 1927, when Gandhi came to Ceylon, he was invited to Chilaw by C. Coria, chairman of the Chilaw Association. C. Coria fought relentlessly for Swaraj, and the British bureaucracy wilted under his elegant verbal thrusts, and it was remarked that what Chilaw said today, Colombo thought on the morrow, chiefly owing to the influence of C. Coria. Gandhi arrived in Chilaw with his entourage and was a revered guest at Sigiriya, where he stayed for some days. My mother recalled her visits as a teenager to her uncle's home to see the distinguished guest. To her, the Mahatma seemed meek and humble in his loincloth and beret body, yet full of power and vision. His eyes, she noticed in particular, were calmly compelling. She felt she was standing in the presence of a king among men. To her, those visits were redolent of oranges. Her father's car was laden with oranges from the estate for the visitors. Her younger sister Ira, favored goddaughter of Uncle Jimmy, recalled traveling to a meeting, ensconced in the back seat of her car between Gandhi and her uncle. Doreen and Nana, two surviving daughters of C. Coria. Doreen was 9 years old at the time of Gandhi's visit, and what she remembers vividly is the mammoth reception accorded to Gandhi at the courthouse premises. She remembers when her younger sister Nana, attired in a blue half-sari, stepped out to garland the Mahatma. He embraced her and called her Gandhi's little sweetheart. Dates and goat's milk were served to the visitors at Sigiriya, and she remembers in particular the spinning wheel Gandhi presented to her father, C. Coria. These were memorable events in the lives of the youngsters of yesteryear, and fascinating glimpses of history to us for our generation. Crustabella Tur, Pain.
It's all in our hands, this life of time that's given to us all. It gathers round each night, each morn. We watch it pass and grow. It is all in our hands, it is all in our